let's go ahead and bring to order the Templeton Community Services District Board of Directors meeting. Today is July 16th, 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Directors Fredonish,
Here.
Logan,
Here.
Peterson.
Here. Let's go ahead, stand for a pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. Order of business, any board members wish to change the order of business? Okay. Special reports, we have Commander Manueli here from the Sheriff's Office. Please come on up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Introduce Michael Manueli, Commander, Sheriff's North Station. I have your report for June 2024. The station received 1,584 calls for service compared to last year, 1,742, a drop of approximately 9%. I'm sorry, 9%. Just for reference, I thought it'd be neat to look at the entire department. For that month, 2024, we had 5,562 calls for service. Breaking those calls for service down, for comparison, Shandon had 86 compared to Templeton, 361. Last year, it was 343. That's a 5% increase. Breaking those calls for service down into individual reports, the station had 229 compared to last year. We had 232, a drop of about 1%. Overall, the department had 946 reports. Breaking those down into individual areas, Shandon had 10 for reference compared to Templeton, which had 74. Last year, there were 46. That is a 61% increase. Breaking the calls for service down into individual categories, there were assault and battery, 6 calls for service, generated 5 reports. We had an ex slap the victim and pour beer on them. There was an altercation between the victim and their brother. We had a victim was having complications from an assault that had occurred approximately a month ago. And then there were a couple domestic violence related relationships there. Disturbances, there were 18 calls for service, generating 4 reports. We responded to a report of a fight involving several subjects. There was a disturbance of the peace related to ongoing neighborhood dispute. And again, another domestic violence related case. Good to report, no burglaries, thefts, 2 calls for service, generating 2 reports. Caller reported somebody stole their tax paperwork, and then a caller reported their credit card and social security card were stolen while they were in surgery. We had vandalism, 8 calls for service, generating 6 reports. A subject in a vehicle caused damage by burning out their tires on the grass driveway. There is a report of someone throwing rocks at residential units and cars causing damage. We had 2 different case numbers in that particular call. Trespassing, 9 calls for service, 2 of those generated reports. We had a family member not allowed to be on the property, return to the property, and then another ongoing neighborhood dispute with a neighbor. No scams to report in our area. I will just give you a brief summary of one. The person was working on their computer. They got a Windows alert saying, hey, you have a virus, call us. They call. They try tricking that person into giving them their bank information. After giving some of the information, the person realized this is a scam. She picked up her laptop, kept them on the phone, drove to the bank. The bank picked up on what was going on, and then she kept delaying. When she got the okay from the bank saying disconnect now, disconnected. At the very same moment, the bank closed the account, opened a new account for her, and she did not lose any money. That was pretty astute. But don't give the information out, and you won't have to run to the bank. Let's see, and then suspicious circumstances, we had 14 calls for service, generating 3 reports. One that I thought was highly unusual, but rather important for us to remember. We responded to an accidental discharge of a firearm inside the house, went through the wall and struck a vehicle outside. Firearms are dangerous. Always ensure they're unloaded, handle them in a safe and proper manner, never point at anything you're not willing to destroy. And that is my report for this.
Thank you. Any questions for the commander? I was wondering, as far as the 4th of July, any, was there additional activity for you or?
You know, I did not pull the stats for July. I just looked at them for June. I will tell you just off of my observations, it was very busy. It seemed like it was busier than in recent years. Started earlier, went longer, and there was more of them. In fact, I was in the parade with the fire department when they got a fire call, which I believe was caused by.
I was gonna actually. later on.
He's the one to talk to.
Yeah.
They did all the work. We just went there and followed them.
We appreciated the clearing of the lane, that's for
Yes.
sure.
So,
Thank you. And any questions from public for the sheriff office? No. Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Public comment. Members of public may address the board on any items of interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, but not on the agenda today. In compliance with the Brown Act, the board cannot discuss or act on items not on the agenda. Does anybody have any public comments they wanna make that's not on the agenda? Okay, and I don't see anybody on Zoom either. Okay, all right, we go to the next section, consent agenda.
Hold on one second. Looks like we do have a couple people join on Zoom.
Okay,
One, maybe we wanna just double check, to make sure that's not
Joe. Welcome, Joe. All right, so we are to consent agenda. So we have 3 items on there. We have the minutes from June 18th of 2024. We have the treasurer's report, which was for May of 2024. Thank you, Natalie. And resolution number 14-2024, which was conflict of interest policy update. Any questions on anybody? I guess I'm just gonna pull the item C because I don't understand what that was about. Anybody in public would like to pull any of the items on the consent agenda? Okay, so may I have a motion for items consent agenda A and B, the minutes and the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion that the board approve the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 meeting and the treasurer's report for the period ending May 2024.
Perfect. Second, all right, roll call, please.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Fredonish.
For item C, the conflict of interest policy update, why do we need, for just changing the name of the committee, we have to do this?
Actually, we're required to do a certification on the conflict of interest policy every 2 years.
Okay.
So it was due this time anyway.
Okay,
And so in reviewing it, the committee name did change. And so from facilities to water and wastewater utilities, and so we're just clarifying that with the conflict of interest policy. You'd have to approve something either way to send to the county to show that
Okay.
you've reviewed it.
okay, so this just, all right,
So it's just really just a matter of coincidence of the timing, since you made that change just in June.
okay, so, okay, if we, okay. All right, no, that's all my question, I just was wondering, I didn't realize that, I mean, I understand, I guess, didn't understand why we needed to, but I guess there was other reason. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion to approve that item as well, consent agenda item 7C.
I'll
Go ahead,
second that emotion.
All right, roll call, please.
Directors Fredonish,
Aye.
Logan,
Aye.
Peterson.
Yes.
Let's go ahead to the board business item, resolution number 15-2024. This is a public hearing item, so I'll go ahead.
Yeah, Natalie,
Natalie's gonna
Clark,
talk, okay.
report on this.
So I did pass out an updated exhibit A. We did have, two, not street, lead abatement payments. So two of the three paid there, so I updated the amount. And so we asked just that the board of directors hold a public hearing and accept testimony on the proposed assessments and charges. Following the public item, the board should by motion adopt resolution number 15-2024. A resolution adopting the reports on assessments for street lighting, delinquent water sewer charges, delinquent weed abatement fees, the CFD 2017-1 assessments, and fire and emergency services special tax levy measure A, and authorizing their collection on the county tax roll. So for the four street lighting districts, those total $13,011.50. We have two water sewer delinquent accounts. Those total $2,406.64. We have one weed abatement charge now for the $1,363.48. We have CFD assessments totaling $79,185.66. And then measure A parcel tax totaling of $530,036. If the board of directors does not adopt resolution number 15-2024, then collection will not be possible through the 24-25 tax roll.
Thank you. Any questions for Natalie?
So I have a question with the staff report, where it's now been updated to say that those two weed abatement properties have been paid. Are you going to be updating the staff report to reflect that, since this is part of our record?
Well, we'll post this updated.
Included, but it
Exhibit.
reads right now $5,090. That's why I'm asking if you're gonna update the,
No, we never have updated the staff reports because the date is of the date the packet was published.
okay, okay.
But when you approve if you approve the resolution, this is the exhibit that will go with it.
To the packet.
And it's sent to the county, because the county take action on your resolution.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further comments.
So for the two accounts for the water and sewer, we attempted to make contact with
So
them.
they're both shut off.
Okay,
One is, one that has been on the tax roll from last year. So
okay,
there was originally three before I did this, when we received payment in full.
okay,
And then the second is also empty as well.
okay.
So, yeah, phone calls, letters,
have you been
contacting
able to talk to them?
realtors, no.
Okay, but you've done multiple
Oh,
ways to.
door hangers, yeah.
Great, thank you. Since this is obviously a public meeting, I'm gonna go ahead and open it to a public hearing to see if there are any protests or objections to these amounts that are going to be assessed through the tax parcel tax. So any public comments, objections on this? No, okay. All right, go ahead and I close the public hearing section of this. Any further comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the board approve resolution number 15-2024, adopting the reports on the streetlight assessment, delinquent water and sewer charges, delinquent weed abatement fees, community facilities district, and for 2017-1 assessments, and measure A partial tax, authorizing their collection on the county tax roll.
Second, right? Roll call, please.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Bardanish.
Great, so the resolution has passed 3-0. All right, moving on to the next item. This is the Board of Director appointments for the two positions that we have available on our board, so. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you very much. As the board is aware, in a couple of months ago, board member Giardini resigned from the board. Her resignation was effective May 28th. And then in late May, board member Pearson resigned with an effective resignation date of June 30th. At your first board meeting in June, board discussed various options related to filling those vacancies. And at that point in time, directed staff to solicit interested residents who might be willing to serve the remainder of those terms, those 2 terms on the board, for those 2 seats. So in early June, we released a press release. It was posted on the district website. We emailed it out to all the district email addresses that we have for utility billing, for Parks and Recreation programs, and it was carried by some local media sources. Over the ensuing 6 weeks or so, we received 8 applicants from interested residents, interested in serving on the board of directors. Since that time, 2 applicants have requested that their application be withdrawn. We did communicate with all 8, that, prior to the 2 of them withdrawing, inviting them to attend tonight's meeting, requesting that they, make introductory remarks and ask any questions that they have, and be available to you for any questions that you may have. Following the comments from those in attendance, virtually or in person, from the 8 applicants received, 6 remaining. Then we would request that you take any comments from the public, and then following the receipt of any public comments, you could deliberate on filling the 2 positions. I just wanted to clarify and make sure everybody's aware. The Giardini seat is the seat that will, which has a term that runs through early December this year, so only about 4 or 5 more months. The Pearson seat runs through early December of 2026, so nearly 2.5 years. And it might be a little confusing to the public, but there's a kind of a technicality, the reason why you can appoint the remainder of that term, and that is because the vacancy occurred within 130 days of the November election. Had Director Pearson resigned earlier, even by a couple of days, then the remainder of that seat would be automatically on the November election. But it is not, because the resignation effective date was too close to the election date. So again, 2 distinct seats. One that's the Giardini seat, or the remaining period of the Giardini seat, good through early December, and then the Pearson seat longer, nearly 2.5 years. Of the applications received, 7 indicated a willingness to serve in either role. One, the one by Jeff English, was interested in serving only the shorter term, the remainder of the Giardini seat. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I did want to point out that for the Giardini seat, your time to make an appointment is running out. This is the last regular board meeting that an appointment for the remainder of that term can take place. You have more time on Pearson's seat if for some reason you're unable to come to a decision tonight. Our recommendation would be that these 2 seats be filled independently, that the board would deliberate and then make a motion to fill each of those seats. And that if there's a vote to approve residents that are here tonight to fill those seats, and they're here, they can be sworn in immediately and take their seat and conclude the meeting. We can finish the meeting with them in attendance as a participant.
Do we have any questions? I just wanna focus on questions on the process from the general manager, and then I wanna hear from the.
Well, the question that I have is related to the seat that was held by Giardini, and that knowing that seat is a shorter term period, can you speak to the time frame for if someone who's not selected to fill that position, what their time frame is in which to get their name on the November ballot, since we have someone who's willing to fill it, but only for a short period of time?
Yes, so as you know, there are 3 seats that are up for election this November, one of which being Giardini's seat. Of course, we're an at-large district, so they're not, the 3 seats that are up are currently held by board members Fardanish, Logan, and former, now vacant, but was the Giardini seat. All 3 of those will be on the November election if there are more than 3 candidates. And the nomination period for running for the election is ongoing right now. It started yesterday. It runs through August 9th. And any interested party could contact the county clerk to make an appointment to pull nomination papers. There's a chance that nomination period could be extended until August 14th if one of the incumbents for those seats opts not to run, in which case it's extended another 5 days for non-incumbents.
Thank you.
So in this case, it would be extended anyways, but.
Well, I'm not sure, I'm not sure how the county would interpret that if you appoint somebody to that seat and they do run, they would be an incumbent at the time that they
I see.
opted to run.
Okay,
So
that's not
I
covered.
don't think it would be extended under that circumstance.
My question is, so you mentioned, do you want us to do two separate motions then for the two different positions? And then are we making the first motion and then selecting a candidate and then they will join us to take a
It's-
vote for the second?
It's up to you. You could make, if it's simpler to do them individually, then they can be sworn in together afterwards. Or if it would be helpful to have a fourth person
I see.
on the board to make that appointment for the fifth person, you could do that. I will say all the candidates were provided the applicant information for each of the persons who submitted an application of interest.
All right, any other questions? All right, so I'll go ahead, I'll obviously want to hear from the candidates, so I'll just start from, these are in alphabetical order, so we have all the applications in front of us, but if anybody wants to make any additional comments, or if you have any questions, then you could do that. So I'll just start with Jeff English. Would you like to make any additional comments or? Sure. Yeah, all
I'll make it under 3 minutes one.
right. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Timer.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And thank you for what you do. I know it's quite a commitment to be here and study and be ready for these meetings. So thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity to apply for this vacancy. I am interested in the short-term position. I have 34 years of residency here in town. I've been involved with a number of organizations. I sat on this board for 2 terms. I served a term as president. I think I could come up to speed quickly. I want to tell you, I'm excited. I'm thrilled that there are some other folks who have shown an interest. And I certainly hope that those folks will put their name in the hat to run for the position. Running for the board is not that difficult and not that complicated. You can put as much effort into it as you wish, or as little as you wish. But anyway, it's a rewarding opportunity to sit on this board. And I certainly don't want to dissuade anybody from doing that, from running for the board. I think it's important that we get 3 folks to run for the board this time. I am willing, if you are interested in appointing somebody who is not going to run, and I will not be running, and serve that 4-month period, I would be happy to do so. I'm available to serve on the board if you wish that be the case, and if I can help, and at the same time not dissuade somebody else from participating. So, and again, I encourage those folks who are here to throw your name in the hat. It's a very rewarding activity to do, and it's an important thing in town here. But I would be happy to serve if you wish. Thank you. That's all I have to say. I think I'm under 3 minutes, Wayne.
Any questions for Jeff? All right, thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Next person, Tanya. Tanya Gazara.
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 That's okay. I'm new to the area. About almost 3 years ago, my husband and I moved here. He retired, and we brought our son. He's going to be a sophomore at the high school. I raised three daughters in the Bay Area, grown, educated, doing their own thing. Miss them dearly, but they can visit. And I just love this community, and I did things there, and I'm here to do things and put my name in the hat and help out any way I can.
Wonderful.
I've been on the TYBL baseball committee for 3 years. As soon as I moved here, my son was playing, so I was doing that. I work up at the high school for the boosters, doing the snack shack for the football games. And I'm on the TEF board treasurer. So I finished with the baseball, so now I have a little bit of extra time.
Wonderful.
I'd love to join with you guys, and if not, I'll put my hat in for another time, and if it's in a couple of years, I'll do it again then.
Thank you. Do you have any questions from us in terms of what we do or what we?
No, I kind of looked it up a little bit. and-
Okay, all right, wonderful. Well, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. If you like, you have a question to ask.
Yeah, just, have you talked to anybody on the board or, in the organization about this position?
No.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Is Skylar Lipinski here? No, okay. So we do have the application. No, Skylar not there. Okay. Eric Mortensen.
Name's Eric Mortensen. I'm a relatively recent Templeton resident. Moved here in 19 with my wife from San Luis Obispo. I'm a Central Coast native, and I currently work for the city of San Luis Obispo as an IT systems engineer, primarily work for public safety. Last time there was an open position, I put my name in the hat for that. There are probably little missteps. Didn't ask everyone questions about everything that's supposed to be going on. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to be selected to be a volunteer on the committee for admin and finance here at TCSD. I've grown a lot of appreciation for what the board does and for what they do for this community, and I'd like to take part in that process, and hopefully I'm up for consideration of that.
Great, well, thank you for coming, Eric. I appreciate it. Any questions for Eric?
No.
Okay, and I'm sure Eric, I think he's familiar with a little bit about what we do, so that's good. Thank you. Next person, Andrew. Andrew's not here. And Chelsea Tyron. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, directors. As you read in my application, my name is Chelsea Tyrone. I grew up in San Luis Obispo, so I'm very familiar with the county, and after spending about 13 years or so in San Francisco, relocated back to the area a few years ago with my husband in order to start and raise our family. My entire professional career I've spent working for the San Francisco mayoral offices, 3 different administrations. I have taken a step away from my professional career because I've got a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old son who are keeping me relatively busy. But that being said, I have always had this political itch and interest in community development, and this opportunity not only gives me the space to sort of flex those muscles again, but also to help to ensure that this space and this community remains a place that my children can enjoy for years to come. I'm very prideful of the fact that I grew up in this area, left, and then was able to come back and bring the next generation of Central Coast residents and Templetonians with me. And so I look forward to helping this community make wise decisions to help it grow and be sustainable. And yeah, I'm excited about this opportunity and the chance to hopefully work with you all.
Thank you. Any questions?
Same question I asked before. Have you contacted anybody?
I have not. I've not spoken to anyone on the board. I've done, some cursory research in terms of the different committees that you all sit on. And I've benefited a lot from, obviously, not only the choices that you make, but some of the events that you hold and that the Parks community holds as well. So just a beneficiary.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you for applying. Appreciate it. That's it. So we have our candidates here. Any other further comments from anybody? No? Okay. I'll go ahead, I'll close that, and I guess it's time for us to deliberate and ask questions as we need to.
If you're ready for a motion, I would like to make a motion. I don't have any questions.
All right, go ahead.
So I know Jeff English from having served on this board with you. And I know during your tenure, I valued significantly your input. And given your experience working with other municipalities, I think you would be a good asset. And so I'm gonna make the recommendation that the board select Jeff English to serve the short-term position held open by Director Giardini's departure.
Okay, and then. Did you want
Need a second, or we can, how does that work?
Yeah, it would need a second, if that's a motion, it would need a second, and then, in order for any person to be voted in, if it's three, since there's only three of you, it would need to be a unanimous.
Do you wanna talk about the second position?
Do you want to do them separately?
I think we should separately.
Do them separate, okay, alright.
I'll second it. I can't add too much to what Debbie has said about Jeff. He's been around since 2012, off and on, so we just can't get rid of him.
Well, I think the other thing I want to point out, because I mean, there's other people who have expressed interest, and I appreciate that. Because I think having served on this board for the past almost 8 years, there's no one who shows up to these meetings. And there's no participation from the public, so I really appreciate your expressing an interest. But by the same token, I know that it's very difficult to step into this role and to make those policy decisions. And that's one of the reasons why I'm supporting Jeff English for this position, because it's very difficult. I would encourage those who are not selected to file, because Jeff English has made it known he does not want to serve after December. And now is the time to make that filing with the county in order to have your name appear on the November ballots. I just want to express that, my thanks for those folks expressing an interest, but I think it's difficult to fill this position with somebody. I can't ignore the experience that Jeff English brings, so I hope you all understand that.
Yeah, for the short-term position, I agree. Jeff's experience is going to be very helpful for us, especially with, we will be having some important issues for both fire department, parks and rec, water facilities, source facilities coming up. So it would be great to have Jeff's knowledge and background during this short term. Otherwise, for the person to be able to catch up, anybody else to catch up is going to be very challenging. So that is already.
Quite frankly, I wouldn't vote for anybody for this short period of term. I would just wait until you run for the election. It's a very short term to try to understand what's going on. Jeff would have to train another person. He's done very well in training us. But, and I was happy to see Jeff apply, because he's only applying for the 3 or 4 months to really to help out the community service district, and I appreciate that. And so I will second your motion for the short term.
Okay, so we have a motion from the second. All right, roll call please.
Directors Logan,
Aye.
Peterson,
Yes.
Cordonish.
Aye.
Welcome.
Again.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's.
Too late now.
I won't,
Shut up.
I won't share what you told me when you left the board the last time.
Should he come up here for the next?
So the board has if you'd like to include Jeff English in your deliberations for the filling of the longer seat, he can be sworn in now and begin participating immediately, or you can fill the longer seat yourselves, and then we can swear both of them in. It's
I
entirely
would
up to you.
suggest we swear him in now and have him part of the deliberation.
Sounds good. All right, come on up, Mr. English.
Come on down. Three minutes.
Read it, say it.
I've done this a couple of times. I, Jeff English, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Right, all right, thank you. Well, congratulations.
And if I may, I would like to follow up on the comments that I made. I would certainly, thank you for those folks who are here and showed an interest. And I encourage you to put your name in for the election. In many cases, we've only had, there are 3 positions open. Sometimes we don't even have enough and we have to appoint people. So there's a good chance you wouldn't even have to campaign. And most likely that would be the case. I don't know. But anyway, thank you. And I don't want to take this in any way to dissuade you from getting involved. So thank you for being here.
If nothing else, your names will appear on the ballot with the US presidential nominees.
Is that good or bad?
Yes.
It's your claim to.
Maybe they won't do it now.
Great, so now we need to discuss the second position that we have available, and as general manager mentioned, this term is for almost 2.5 years. So anybody has want to start? Any comments on that? Where would you like to begin?
Well, I'm gonna comment on Eric. You guys leave it to me, the lead person. I know Eric, when the last time, what we did as a board, probably a year and a half ago, because of the last election cycle, we did not have candidates. And we ended up where we had to appoint individuals. But as much as trying to beat the bushes, it was very difficult. So we took the position of having our committees having public participation and public members assigned to have voting privileges on those committees. And Eric was one of those individuals that answered the call and has participated in, I know, the finance and administration meetings. What other ones? Fire?
No, we selected for each individual who came before, they received individual departments.
Yeah, but you served on which committees?
It was the admin and finance.
Admin and finance. Okay, I wasn't sure if you served on any others, but
I
I knew you
volunteered
were
for the
with me
fire
on
as
those
well, but yes, we
committees.
found it.
So I know Eric has consistently been kind of attending those meetings to, one, gain an understanding of the district and what the district does and its operations, because it is quite complex. We rely upon staff to really kind of be the subject matter experts, but based upon what they provide us, we as a board have to make some tough decisions. And it's not always easy to get that understanding of wastewater, of water, where our water comes from, how it's treated, the fire department and some of the issues with the fire department and being able to staff and man and be able to respond to the community's needs. So it's been somewhat of a challenge getting kind of up to speed in all those facets of the operations of the district. But I know Eric has been one who has taken an interest. And that's why I would like to make a motion that he serve the position left open by Khulud Harrison. So that would be my recommendation. But again, I don't want to dissuade or discourage anyone else from running because we're in that election cycle right now. So now is the time to throw your hat in the ring for the longer term roles. It'll be a 4-year position. So it's a 4-year commitment. We do have not only these meetings, the first and third Tuesday of the month, but we also have committee assignments. Those committee assignments are within the district and some of those committee assignments are outside of the district. So for example, there's the Water Resource Advisory Committee that is managed or run by the county. We have the NACI committee, we have PAC, so we have a number of other committees that we participate in as well. So it is a commitment, it's a 4-year commitment, but if you're willing to do that, I would encourage you to throw your hat in the ring and file to run for the seats. Because my position, even though I'm one of those individuals up for reelection, it's nice that we have, that's part of the democracy, is having people show an interest and let the citizens decide who should fill that position. So I'll get off my bandstand.
Thank you. Any?
I'm starting to sound like you.
Comments?
I guess I'd like to also thank you for being here. It's kind of nice to sit up here and look and see people out there. Normally when people come in here, there's something wrong. They're mad. So it's really nice to see somebody here. And again, I would echo what Debbie has said about, we really look forward to those people that aren't selected to actually run for the office in November. And you have until August, what, 17th, 19th? 9th.
Perhaps 14th with 9th.
Yeah, to do that. So it would be really nice to see a lot of people running for the positions. I think the last time there was 7 people running was 2012. And the only reason I know that is because I ran and lost and he ran and won. And so that's why we don't talk to each other. But anyway, but no, it's. Yeah, 16th when I ran again. There was 5 for 2 positions, but anyway, please run, and if you know anybody else out there to run, again, there's at least 1 seat available, and there'll be, these 2 will be running also, I believe, anyway, I know one of them will be running, I haven't heard from the other one yet. Okay, so, and, I'd also like to second, the Eric Mortensen, I was lucky enough for, to serve with him on the Finance and Administrative Committee last year, and he was a welcome addition to the committee. He brought up a lot of good points. I think he learned a lot too, because that's the committee that talks about the budget. So he kind of got his feet wet as far as how the budget works and some of the problems that we have. So, and because he volunteered then, he's doing it again this year, and he threw his hat. I would support him to run for the Kalu's position. Kalu's position.
Yeah, I guess, did you have a comment you like?
I had a question, and yes, I can support Eric as well, and appreciate his service previously to the district. Are there currently positions open for the community representatives on our committees?
We're gonna have to discuss that.
So there are not right now, but if Eric Mortensen is appointed to the board, he won't be able to also serve on he won't be able to serve on a committee because it'd be 3 board members on that committee, and that can't work. So we'll have to rearrange the committees, and almost certainly there'd be a vacancy on that committee.
That may be an opportunity for other community participation.
Yeah, that would be really nice, because I'm sure there will be an opening, so I would welcome you guys to apply for that position as well. But when we started, as you discussed, asking residents to participate in our committee meetings, that was the whole point, for people to see what's going on and get familiar with our processes, with our policies. So Eric, last time when you applied for the board position, I was impressed with your application, and I was really glad to see that you continue to participate at our committee meetings. So I do appreciate you applying. Also, as far as everyone else, I really appreciate that you guys applied tonight. Thank you for coming. And there are positions available if you like to participate, learn about this board. If you feel you're not prepared fully to run for a campaign or something like that, there's definitely would be opportunities at the committee levels and things like that. But if you like to run that, we definitely, that would be welcome as well. But I do agree with the others that I think Eric would be our best choice because he's already familiar with the policies and knows what going on with the district. And, you know, it's only a 2-year term. I remember my first term, it took a while to figure everything out because as we mentioned, there's so many different things in terms of water, wastewater, fire department, and there's going to be some tough decisions coming up. So we need to make sure that the people that are on this board are familiar with what's going on. So I think Eric would be our best choice at this point because of the knowledge that he has with, especially with the finances, because there's going to be a lot of questions on that with the financing, how everything we're going to be able to afford everything. So if I would entertain a motion.
Well, I think I made
Oh, you made a motion.
I just need somebody to second it.
Okay, I'll second it then. I'll go ahead and I'll second the roll call, please.
Okay, directors Logan,
Aye.
Bardanish,
Aye.
English.
Aye.
Peterson.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Welcome. Come on up. Again, thank you for everyone. Appreciate you coming.
And I would also say, if any of you have questions, you know, I'll make myself available. I think any one of us would be available if you have questions about, you know, running, questions about serving on the board. Feel free to reach out.
I'll have to say, if I can make one little comment.
Yes.
After reading everybody's thing, I'm like, oh gosh, I thought I was just gonna come in and help, you know, organize a parade or, you know, this or that. And then I started reading a little bit more and I fully agree with your guys's, I mean, you could have gotten her too, but you know, with your nominations of having them. And I appreciate you guys as a community member, as a homeowner, as everything. I really appreciate all of you guys. And I am going to start coming to these meetings and learn more, and I will,
Yeah, feel
you
free
know,
to.
try to fill in, but I need to be up to
Well,
speed.
and what makes this board work is all of us have very diverse backgrounds. So we bring different aspects to the table. So I would highly encourage that you reach out. I think all of us are
Oh, yeah.
willing to, you know, chat with you if you have questions. But yeah, it takes a lot to get an understanding and get your bearings, to be able to make the right decisions. So I know staff does an excellent job in guiding us, in terms of, their staff reports and what the recommended action is, the background, and also the fiscal impact. But it's still, it's a lot to take in, so.
Yeah, definitely, as we mentioned, like the committee level, you get to learn a lot at the committee levels.
I'm looking forward
How
to
it
it.
works, and you know, you'll get to know the staff, you know, and it's important. So I mean, if that's something you're interested, definitely, I'm sure the applications for that process will be coming out and we could notify you. And for that, you know, it should be, you know, simple, fill out the application and you should be selected, so, yeah. All right,
Okay, so we just need to swear in.
all right.
Raise
So
your
right
right
there,
hand.
right
Raise your
hand,
right hand.
and
I, Eric Mortensen, do solemnly swear, affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I enter.
Welcome. Although I've served on the finance committee with you.
Congratulations, thank you, thanks, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Oh, of course.
Very much.
Are we able to stay for the?
Of course,
meeting?
please.
You can come to the next meeting too. And the following.
Well, and if you can't attend in person, there's always Zoom.
Oh, great.
So just so you know.
Thank you again. All right, let's move on to general manager's report.
Yeah, a couple of things to alert you to. One is well, three, four members that were serving 15 minutes ago are aware, and hopefully now all 5 of you are aware We do have a fire crew that's been out for nearly 2 weeks now. They were back just for a few hours, but they were on the lake fire in Santa Barbara County until a couple of days ago, and now have been moved to a fire in Kern County and near Tehatchee. So we're hoping to have them back within a few days. There's a remote chance they could be extended through.
Is it the same two individuals?
2 out of 3 are the same.
Correct.
Okay, and how long have they been out?
So the original two on the crew went to Oroville
Yeah,
and they were gone for 5 days, came back, were here for 5 hours,
and then went to the lake.
reassigned. They made the choice. We were gonna rotate crews. We have some staffing, I'll say, delicacies right now that, a couple of our individuals have pregnant wives. They would rather not be out of the area. So
Okay.
those
But
individuals.
those are the ones that are not out of it.
Correct, those, they chose to stay and the other 2 were happy to go. But we did rotate a firefighter, so we didn't bring him up on, or either of them up on ours.
Okay.
So that was the reason for rotating the firefighter. Then they went to the lake fire and now they're, as the general manager said, in Tehachapi.
Is it
They've
cut?
com-
I'm sorry.
They've combined a couple fires over there, the Rancho and the White Fire have merged into one incident management team. They'll be working for that.
Does it cause you any problems with your scheduling and the operations here while they've been gone?
No, yeah, the only thing causing me problems right now is an engine that's being temperamental again.
We have one of our wells that we call it the Platts Well. It's a well northernmost part of the district. It's a key, deep aquifer well that we use in this typically every summer. It's a significant producer. That well's been temperamental. It's out of service. It started producing some sand back in early June. We've done a fair amount of testing on that and are working up a well rehabilitation project. I expect in August I'll be bringing forward a requested budget amendment to fund the bulk of that well rehab work, but the planning for that is taking place now. It's also gonna require some hardware upgrade or changes. The column pipe was corroded, and we've had just some other issues with the well that we wanna get sorted out while the well's disassembled. It's not posed any really significant hurdles over the last month, but it is it's not ideal to have a key resource like that out of commission during the season. We also had an unusual water leak early last week, or actually approximately 2 weeks ago. Overnight, the night of July 2nd and the early morning hours of July 3rd, we had a fire supply line that fed a building, fire sprinkler system in a building, blowout underground next to the building, not in a very visible location. And it went undetected for several hours. At daybreak or early in the morning, there was a call for flooding issues, and that led to discovery of the line, and the water was turned off. But in the meantime, we lost about 1.1 million gallons of water. So it was a significant leak. This was caused by work being done on the property. We billed the property owner for the cost of the water and are working to sort out ways to discover that problem more rapidly. It didn't lead to a service disruption or a problem, but it could have. It's a significant amount of water loss for our relatively small community.
You said it was the 6-inch pipe?
6-inch water line. A lot of water to feed those relatively large buildings.
We do have a SCADA system.
We do.
don't we?
We do.
And that doesn't have a flow alarm.
It does. We got flow alarms early in the morning, but at that time, we were able to turn up some wells to keep the water from dropping as quickly. And then within an hour or so, discovered the location where the leak was stopped. Valve was
Because it was in a place that was hard to find.
Yeah, what was it, there was, no eyes or ears in the industrial park behind these buildings. So the water wasn't leaking, the flooded water didn't come onto like a public right of way or someplace that would be more easily found.
Yeah.
And then next Friday, July 26th, we have a staff appreciation lunch picnic, lunch. And I'll get the information out to all the board members again, but would like to make sure that you, if you're able to join us that day, please do. I understand that it's not an ideal day for everybody.
Fortunately, I don't think I have to move my son.
Yeah, it's a big turn.
All right, okay, anything else, Chairman?
No, those are the ones that noted.
Any questions?
Is it what in Chicago?
No, Pomona.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I do have a question regarding the beer run. Do we know how much money was raised
Oh,
by
that's-
TRF?
Yes.
We do. Isn't that-
Is it in the park and rec? I didn't see it in there.
Yeah,
We-
it's six.
Okay.
We raised, I was the chairperson for the
Okay.
run this year, and we had almost 300 runners. It was a great event. And just a shout out to Barrel House, which is the co-sponsor for that event, and it was a tremendous event this year. We raised $12,000. We generated $12,000 in profit from the event. We split those proceeds are split between TRF and the rec department, and so a check has already been given to the rec department. And we're gonna do a check presentation. We're trying to line that up so that we can get Barrel House representatives there, so. Yes.
So that's what I was wondering, I saw that number, so 6,000 was donated to the park.
Yeah, 6,000 was donated
Wow,
to the.
that's-
Because they
by-
paid
by-
registration fee.
Then that's incredible, that's wonderful, thank you, I know, yeah, so nice. Appreciate that, thank you. And any questions from the public for general manager? Okay, actually, I have to say, he's very good at answering all the questions, and he's very easy to get a hold of, and he's really great to work with, so you've been here now 11 years?
11 years.
11 years, so we're very fortunate to have him as our general manager. All right, so that's your report. Let's move on to the committee reports. Fire and Emergency Management Committee report on June 19th. We have the TAG report and the Water and Wastewater Utilities Committee report. I have to get used to that name. Any questions on those? Any questions from the public on those? Okay, we'll move on to the activity update, so engineering. I have a question on engineering, so for the Nacimiento Water Resource and Recovery Project at the Creekside, so it's like, our engineer wrote down an extensive piece about it, so the part that the FEMA is going to possibly help us with, they're not thinking for another year and a half?
So, yeah, the FEMA process is, slows things down, can slow things down. Right, we're dealing with the federal bureaucracy, and the FEMA approval process is pretty slow. But our staff and county staff or county flood control district staff, same people, Public Works Department, County Public Works Department, are working on a way where we can initiate design for the new turnout to occur on a parallel track with FEMA's review. So we wouldn't have to wait until FEMA awards the project or approves the project to proceed. It just means that the design work would be at risk, we would be cash flowing it. And if FEMA denies the project for some reason, you wouldn't get reimbursed for that effort. However, that's already effort that we plan on doing. It's just the project gets a little more complicated because it'll be split. The county's portion of it will be the river crossing and the turnout, not necessarily the wells, the treatment, the blending,
So I know in all our,
and I was, that item is gonna come before you hopefully on August 6th for a determination. We have a budget, it'll probably require a budget amendment and our recommendation, I anticipate, will be to have the board consider authorizing the use of that budget proceeds to reimburse the county for expenses associated with the design of that replacement turnout.
so I know all the projections that we have for our water buffer policy shows that we were gonna have access to that Nasi water starting 2027. So are we still achieve that?
I would say it's not impossible. I mean, the longer this takes,
Yes.
there are some, some setbacks, but it's real positive to potentially have something like $3 million in FEMA funds and OES funds to cover the bulk of those costs, or a lot of these costs.
Any questions on the engineer?
I'm just curious, the eligibility for a FEMA loan, or FEMA funding, what's the criteria that we met? Normally it's an emergency.
Yeah, well, this kind of was, what ended up happening is the existing turnout, the pipeline portion that crosses our turnout, that it's part of the pipeline, but it feeds Templeton CSD's turnout off the Nasi pipeline. The portion of the pipeline that crosses a property owner on the east side of the river was, had about 2.5 feet of erosion took place during the January 2023 storms. It did not disrupt service, but it did undermine the placing of that pipeline. And so, working with the county and the county's consultant, we did an alternatives analysis, and that alternatives analysis indicated that relocating the turnout was the preferred alternative. So we're kind of piggybacking on that event. The reason this is most likely possible to be funded by FEMA is that FEMA's already involved in the Nacimiento pipeline. The large section of the pipeline itself, not a turnout, was washed away south of Atascadero during the same event, storm event. And so the approach here is from the county is the county's going to attempt to demonstrate that the pipeline is one system. And so we just have multiple repairs on the same system.
Thank you. Any questions on the engineering report from public? Finance, any questions on finance report? No, anybody from public? Okay. Fire and emergency services, I have a question. So, sorry to hear about our fire engine, we keep having problems with it, so hopefully, we'll figure that out by getting a new one down the road, a couple of years down the road, but obviously, meanwhile, we have to try to repair it. But my question is, there was 2 events that happened on July 3rd, one at, July 4th, I'm sorry. One was at 10:19 a.m. and one was at 10:54. Both of them caused fires. Do you think they were related by the same people? Were they done by the same people?
Yeah, so we had sheriff's deputies in the area that were helping us with the situation at the park. Somebody had thrown a firework into one of the porta potties, blew the door off, and then shortly after we responded to a fire at the high school. At that point, there were some people standing there and told us some kids were running away from that location. Shortly after that, we were coming back to the station and got this dispatched to the pedestrian tunnel leading from the high school to the middle school. Right there in that area, somebody had detonated a illegal firework, and some passerbys detained some juveniles. And those 2 juveniles reported that it was the same kids that set the fire over at the high school.
Oh,
So.
okay, and the sheriff was aware of that and.
Reports, yep, and.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad to hear that. Any other questions? Okay. Parks and Rec and solid waste. So yeah, my question was the $6,000, whether that was total or that was just, that was part that was coming. So that's great to really, if you don't mind thanking TRF for us, I would appreciate that. And then it seems like as far as the Evers Park improvement plans, Lori is our engineer is working with the county trying to figure this out. It
Yeah,
seems like there's some delays again.
Well, we got the comments back from the county, which were Still not nearly as extensive as we got the last round, but there's still a number of areas that required adjustments to the plan. MIG's taking on the bulk of them. There were some areas that were out of scope, beyond the scope of the work that MIG had that Lori Azim has been coordinating. I think we're pulling together kind of a plan to be able to resubmit. There's gonna be some areas that costs are likely to go up because we have to make some further improvements to the park that we didn't expect to reduce the amount of land that has hard surfaces. When I say reduce, it's our solutions are probably gonna be using like permeable concrete for the parking stalls, for the ADA parking stalls, those kind of things.
Yeah, it's a shame. We're trying to improve our park and we are keep running into problems. So right now, I guess we're not gonna be able to do anything, even if we get the plans till summer of 25. Because that's when usually that was.
Yeah, our expectation was this work would take place between like May and July, whenever it happens. You know, even if we got the permit, we haven't bid the project out yet, so we
So
would
it'd
need
be
to. Yeah.
still another year away.
Yeah, there's a chance that some of the work could occur over the winter, but that's riskier in terms of wet weather and those kind of delays. It's the challenge is we program a lot of things at that park, right? We have, you know, it's basically year-round use. Flag football in the summer, soccer in the fall, softball in the springtime. So we've got just sort of small windows to fit the work in. Once the plans are approved.
And then one other question I have, for soccer, it says that we'll probably have about 650 to 700 kids this season. Typically, in the last couple of years, it was anywhere from like 850 to 900. So, and I noticed that reduction was because the high school division is changing since CIF now allows off-season practices. That's the reason. So are these?
Yeah, I think that's a part of the reason. We don't expect to have high school kids participating in rec league because the high school is gonna have their own kind of preseason program for their players.
Okay.
So they're not necessarily available to participate in our recreation league. That wouldn't account for that number, that wouldn't be more than that wouldn't be 100 kids,
Yeah.
for example. You might recall that a couple years ago, when we really hit that big peak number 2 years ago, I think it was close to 900. That was a year when I think we attributed a significant amount of that to the Paso Robles soccer program having some kind of significant changes in how they ran it. And maybe the registration wasn't available very early, and some parents from Paso Robles got concerned that maybe the soccer program wouldn't go, and so they signed our kids up here.
So do you think, that's what my next question, so do you think that reduction in number was kids that were out of the area then basically?
Yeah, I mean, we can run a comparison, but I think that's the bulk of the change. And last year it wasn't as big as it was the year before. It's gone down a little bit. You know, we ebb and flow, and just like the grades, like, right, there's in terms of where these kids come. And the greatest number of participants for soccer are the elementary school age.
And then how is this gonna affect the budget that we just passed for Parks and Rec? Do we see big, is it gonna be a big amount
You know,
of reduction?
It could, but we should see a corresponding savings in equipment and officiating costs, et cetera. You know, we're still taking registrations. We're still taking late registration, and we have people on the wait list, so these numbers are gonna fluctuate for several more weeks. The actual soccer season itself doesn't start until, you know, the practices don't start until school starts, so we're still more than a month out.
Okay. Any questions for the Parks and Rec? Any questions from public? Okay. Utilities, any questions on utilities? Maybe, any questions from public? Yeah. That's it. So we move on to director's report and or comments. Any activities that any of the directors were involved on behalf of the district that they'd like to share? Right? No? Okay, well.
Before you adjourn, if you don't mind. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to point out that it's rare for the district to hold a special meeting, but if we especially for the new and returning board members. We received a congressional appointment, a congressional funding, project funding from Congressman Panetta's office to purchase a new fire engine. That was approved by Congress back in March. We applied for it the year prior. And so that money's tied to Templeton. It's not a competitive grant, but the USDA is who will administer that program, and they run it through kind of a grant protocol where we had to fill out an application and whatnot. We provided all the information to them in early May and just some supplemental information in early June that they requested. But they've not yet okayed or authorized us to make the purchase. We received an update a little over a week ago from Congressman Panetta's office that USDA expects to finalize that authorization or that grant agreement, hopefully within a couple of weeks. So that really by early next week. If we're able to, if they approve our proposed purchasing strategy, and we did go out to bid in May and receive bids in early June, and those bids were reviewed by the Fire and Emergency Management Committee meeting at their June meeting. If USDA allows us to move forward with our proposed bidding strategy or make the purchase based on the lowest cost the lowest cost bid at a pay now price, then if we get that news in the next week or two, I'll be trying to coordinate with your board chairperson, the president, to set a public hearing before the expiration of the bids. Those bids expire like the 1st of August. Or within a couple of days there, I can't recall what date the low cost bid does, but it's pretty soon. So it doesn't go until your next board meeting. So if we're able to get the okay, you may hear from us about setting a special meeting for that purpose. To consider awarding that bid and issuing actually making a purchasing decision on the fire engine. But we couldn't put that on tonight's agenda because we don't have the okay from the USDA.
All right, thank you for reminding me of that, appreciate that. All right, I think that's it. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you everyone for coming.
See Ariel